Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the air thick with a silence you can't name. The bed is warm, the sheets soft, the coffee brewing in its familiar rhythm. Everything is as it should be, safe, predictable, comfortable. Yet something gnaws at you, a splinter in your soul you can't pluck out. You've built a life of ease, a fortress of routine. But instead of peace, there's a quiet scream beneath it all. Why does comfort feel like a cage? Why does every step toward safety leave you more restless, more hollow? You're not alone in this. Millions drift through the same paradox, chasing a dream that suffocates them. What if the very thing you've been taught to seek is the chain holding you back? Picture yourself standing at the edge of a cliff. The wind howls, tugging at your clothes, urging you to leap. Below, the abyss yawns wide, dark, unknown, terrifying. Behind you lies the village you've always known. Cozy homes with glowing windows, laughter spilling from doorways, the hum of a life well tamed. Every fiber of your being tells you to turn back, to sink into the familiar embrace of that warmth. But the abyss calls louder. It's not safe. It's not easy. And yet something in its depths promises a truth the village can never offer. What if comfort isn't the reward you've been promised? What if it's the thief stealing your life away? This isn't a new question. A man named Friedrich Nietzsche wrestled with it over a century ago, his pen slashing through the illusions of his time like a blade. He saw humanity curled up in its cradle of comfort, asleep to its own potential, and he roared for us to wake up. Destroy it, he seemed to whisper through his words. Raze it to the ground. Not out of spite, but out of necessity. He believed comfort was a drug, a sweet poison that dulled the spirit and buried the will. But why? Why would something so universally desired, so woven into the fabric of modern existence, be the enemy? And why does it feel so wrong to even ask? Look around you. The world is engineered for ease. Smartphones cradle your attention. Algorithms predict your every want. Cushioned seats and climate control shield you from the raw edge of reality. You're told this is progress, the pinnacle of human achievement. But pause. Feel the weight of it. When was the last time you faced something that shook you to your core? When did you last stand naked before the storm? Not just of nature, but of your own mind. Comfort promises peace, yet it delivers stagnation. It's a lullaby that keeps you dreaming while the years slip by. Are you living, or are you just not dying? Now imagine the alternative. Picture a life stripped of padding, where every choice cuts, every moment demands you rise or fall. No safety nets, no gentle assurances, just you and the raw pulse of existence. Terrifying, isn't it? Your heart races at the thought. But what if that terror is the signal you've been waiting for? What if the shiver down your spine is the first sign of waking up? Nietzsche didn't just see comfort as a trap. He saw it as a betrayal of what makes us human. To live, he argued, is to strive, to suffer, to overcome. So why do you cling to the very thing that numbs you to that call? This isn't about abandoning your bed or burning your house down. It's deeper, more insidious. It's about the invisible walls you've built around your soul, the ones you don't even see anymore. You've been taught to fear the unknown, to cradle the familiar. But what if that teaching is a lie? What if the greatest danger isn't out there in the wild, but right here in the soft prison you've mistaken for freedom? The question hangs in the air, sharp and unrelenting. Can you hear Nietzsche's call? And if you can, what's stopping you from answering? The truth lies just beyond this edge. Step closer, and let's find out together. You've felt it. That itch beneath the surface, the whisper that something's off. You've built your life brick by brick, each one promising security, each one stacking higher, until the walls block out the sky. Comfort surrounds you now, a velvet cocoon. But it's not enough. The unease grows. Why? Because the problem isn't out there in the chaos you've avoided. It's in here, woven into the fabric of your mind, your habits, your very being. Nietzsche saw it clearly. Comfort isn't just a preference, it's a sickness, a slow rot that creeps into the human spirit, masquerading as salvation. But to understand why, you have to peel back the layers. Past the surface lies a tangle of psychology, philosophy, and a society that's trained you to love your chains. Start with your own head. Carl Jung would tell you there's a shadow lurking there, a wild, untamed part of you that comfort has shoved into the dark. It's the part that dreams of breaking things, of running barefoot through the storm, of screaming when the world expects silence. You've buried it, not because it's evil, but because it's inconvenient. Comfort demands order, predictability, a life that fits neatly into boxes. But the shadow doesn't fit. It bangs against the walls, restless, and when you ignore it, it festers. Jung knew this repression comes at a cost: anxiety, boredom, a gnawing sense that you're not whole. Comfort doesn't soothe the shadow. It starves it, and in doing so, starves you. Start with your own head. Carl Jung would tell you there's a shadow lurking there, a wild, untamed part of you that comfort has shoved into the dark. It's the part that dreams of breaking things, of running barefoot through the storm, of screaming when the world expects silence. You've buried it, not because it's evil, but because it's inconvenient. Comfort demands order, predictability, a life that fits neatly into boxes. But the shadow doesn't fit. It bangs against the walls, restless, and when you ignore it, it festers. Jung knew this repression comes at a cost: anxiety, boredom, a gnawing sense that you're not whole. Comfort doesn't soothe the shadow. It starves it, and in doing so, starves you. Start with your own head. Carl Jung would tell you there's a shadow lurking there, a wild, untamed part of you that comfort has shoved into the dark. It's the part that dreams of breaking things, of running barefoot through the storm, of screaming when the world expects silence. You've buried it, not because it's evil, but because it's inconvenient. Comfort demands order, predictability, a life that fits neatly into boxes. But the shadow doesn't fit. It bangs against the walls, restless, and when you ignore it, it festers. Jung knew this repression comes at a cost: anxiety, boredom, a gnawing sense that you're not whole. Comfort doesn't soothe the shadow. It starves it, and in doing so, starves you. Now step back further. Nietzsche didn't just blame you, he blamed the herd. Look at society, a machine churning out safety nets, a culture obsessed with ease. From cradle to grave, you're taught that suffering is the enemy, that happiness lies in soft corners and full bellies. Schopenhauer would scoff at this. He saw life as a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. And comfort, it's just the boredom end, a dull hum that numbs you to the pulse of existence. Nietzsche took it deeper. He called it the last man, a vision of humanity so comfortable it forgets how to strive. No peaks, no valleys, just a flat line of mediocrity. You're not meant for that, he'd say. You're built for the climb, not the couch. But why does this trap work so well? Psychology has an answer. Your brain is lazy. It's wired to conserve energy, to seek the path of least resistance. Comfort hijacks that wiring, offering dopamine hits for every shortcut, scrolling instead of thinking, binging instead of creating, settling instead of fighting. Aldous Huxley saw this coming in Brave New World, a society so drowned in pleasure, it forgets what freedom feels like. You're not far from that now. Every app, every cushioned routine, every just relax mantra, It's a drug, and you're hooked. The more you take, the less you question. And the less you question, the deeper you sink. Sartre would add another layer. You're complicit. Existentialism demands you own your choices, but comfort lets you pretend you don't have any. It's easier to float through life, letting the current carry you, than to swim against it. You tell yourself this is fine, this is normal, everyone's doing it. But that's the lie. Normal isn't natural. Viktor Frankl, who clawed meaning from the ashes of a concentration camp, knew this. Humans thrive on struggle, not sedation. Comfort robs you of that struggle, and with it, your chance to find purpose. You're not just avoiding pain, you're avoiding yourself. So here's the root. Comfort is a conspiracy between your biology, your culture, and your fear. It's a pact you didn't sign but live by anyway. Nietzsche's call to destroy it isn't about masochism, it's about waking up. He saw the herd mentality as a betrayal of what makes you human. The will to power, the drive to transcend. Not power over others, but over yourself, the strength to face the abyss and build something from it. Yet society whispers the opposite. Stay small, stay safe, stay comfortable. And your mind, craving ease, nods along. The result? A life half lived, a spirit half awake. The tension builds now. You can feel the weight of this hidden force, how it's shaped your choices, your days, your soul. But what happens when you let it run unchecked? What does this quiet surrender do to you, to the world around you? Nietzsche didn't just diagnose the problem, he foresaw its fallout. The consequences aren't loud or obvious, they're subtle, insidious, creeping into every corner of your existence. You're not free of them yet. Step closer, and let's see what's waiting on the other side of this illusion. You're still here, cradled in that soft web you've spun, the one you call comfort. It feels good, doesn't it? The hum of routine, the glow of screens, the gentle assurances that everything's under control. But beneath the surface, something's shifting, something you can't quite see yet. Nietzsche's voice echoes in the distance, urging you to look closer, to tear the veil. You've been lulled into believing this is living. But what if it's the opposite? What if comfort isn't preserving you? It's eroding you. The consequences aren't written in fire or blood. They're quieter, subtler, seeping into your mind, your relationships, your world. Let's pull them into the light. First, there's you, the real you, the one buried under layers of ease. Every day you choose comfort, you shrink. Not physically, but existentially. Your brain, that marvel of evolution, starts to atrophy. Neuroscience backs this up. When you avoid challenge, your prefrontal cortex, the seat of willpower, creativity, decision, gets lazy. Comfort keeps you in a loop of instant gratification, and over time, the neural pathways for grit, for risk, for growth weaken. You don't notice it at first. It's just a little harder to start that project, to face that fear, to say no to the easy way out. But soon, you're not choosing anymore. You're drifting, a puppet of habit, tugged by strings you didn't even tie. Then there's the shadow Jung warned about. You've shoved it down, locked it away, because comfort doesn't like mess. But it doesn't vanish. It festers. The anger you won't feel, the ambition you won't chase, the wildness you won't claim. They don't disappear. They turn inward. Depression creeps in, or anxiety, or a vague unease you can't name. Studies show this. Suppressed emotions don't dissolve, they metastasize. You think you're at peace, but you're just numb. And the longer you stay numb, the harder it is to wake up. Comfort doesn't heal your wounds. It freezes them, leaving you fragile beneath the surface. Now zoom out. Look at the people around you. Comfort's not just your trap, it's theirs too. Relationships erode in its grip. Why? Because real connection demands friction, vulnerability, the messy stuff you've been trained to avoid. You settle for small talk, for likes and emojis, for surface-level bonds that don't ask too much. Huxley saw this in his dystopia, a world so comfortable, it forgets how to love. You're not far off. Divorce rates climb, friendships fade, families drift, not from conflict, but from apathy. Comfort kills intimacy by making everything too easy, too safe. You stop fighting for each other because you've stopped fighting for anything. And the world, it's a mirror of your surrender. Nietzsche's Last Man isn't a fantasy. It's a prophecy unfolding. Society thrives on your complacency. Corporations profit from your distraction. Governments tighten their grip while you doze. Look at the data. Attention spans shrink. Civic engagement drops. Critical thinking drowns in a sea of clickbait. Comfort breeds passivity, and passivity hands power to those who don't sleep. You're not just a cog. You're a ghost, haunting a machine that runs smoother without your resistance. The planet chokes. The wars simmer. The inequalities widen. And you? You scroll past it all, cozy in your bubble. But here's the kicker. You feel it. Deep down, you know something's wrong. That's the cruelest consequence. Comfort doesn't even deliver what it promises. Schopenhauer nailed it. Boredom is the flip side of the coin. You dodge pain, but you land in a gray void. Rates of mental illness spike. Depression, anxiety, addiction. Not despite prosperity, but because of it. Your brain craves struggle like your lungs crave air, and without it, you suffocate in silence. You're safe, yes, but you're not alive. You've traded the fire of existence for a flicker, and the dimness haunts you. The tension's unbearable now, isn't it? You can see the cracks, how comfort's hollowed you out, dulled your edges, quieted your pulse. It's not just a personal loss, it's a collective one. You're part of a species sleepwalking toward irrelevance, and the clock's ticking. Nietzsche didn't warn you for nothing. He saw the stakes. A life untested is a life unlived. But you're not doomed. Not yet. The consequences are real, but they're not final. There's a way out. A rebellion brewing in the ashes of this trap. Can you feel it rising? It's time to turn the page, to step into the fight. The question is, are you ready to break free? You're standing at the precipice now, the wind of realization whipping through you. Comfort's illusion lies shattered at your feet. Its promises exposed as shackles, its warmth a slow poison. Nietzsche's call rings louder. Destroy it, not with fists or fire, but with something fiercer, your will. The trap's been laid bare, its consequences gnawing at your soul. But here's the spark. You don't have to stay caught. Rebellion isn't just possible. It's your birthright. This isn't about fleeing to the woods or smashing your phone. It's about reclaiming the raw, untamed pulse of your existence. Let's tear it down, step by step, and build something alive in its place. Start with your mind. Comfort's first stronghold is there, in the lazy grooves of habit. You've been coasting, letting the current carry you. But that ends now. Neuroscience offers a weapon: neuroplasticity. Your brain can rewire itself, but only if you demand it. Stop feeding it junk, endless scrolls, mindless binges, the numbing hum of routine. Instead, starve the beast. Seek friction. Pick a task that scares you, writing that book, confronting that truth, learning that skill, and dive in. It'll hurt. Your brain will scream for the old ease. But every push carves new pathways, strengthens your resolve. Nietzsche called this the will to power. Not domination, but mastery over yourself. You're not a passenger anymore. You're the driver. Next, Face the shadow. Jung's insight is your map here. That wild, buried part of you isn't your enemy. It's your ally. Comfort taught you to fear it, to lock it away. But rebellion means setting it free. How? Stare into the dark corners you've avoided. Feel the anger you've swallowed, the dreams you've dismissed, the instincts you've tamed. Write them down, scream them out, wrestle with them. They're messy, yes, but they're yours. History's rebels knew this. Think of Dostoevsky, clawing his way through exile and doubt. Or Nietzsche himself, scribbling "Thus spoke Zarathustra" in a fever of defiance. They didn't run from the chaos. They danced with it. You can too. The shadow's power isn't in its silence. It's in its roar. Now turn outward. Society's rigged the game, piling comfort on you like a weighted blanket. Break the rules. Say no to the script. Refuse the 9-to-5 grind if it's killing you. Ditch the curated feeds. Walk away from conversations that bore you to death. This isn't reckless. It's deliberate. Viktor Frankl survived hell by choosing meaning over despair. You can survive this cushioned prison by choosing struggle over sedation. Start small if you must. Skip the elevator. Take the cold shower. Ask the hard question. Each act is a crack in the system, a declaration that you're not theirs to tame. The herd will stare, but let them. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. Counterintuitive as it sounds, embrace the pain. Schopenhauer saw life as suffering, but Nietzsche flipped it. Suffering isn't the enemy. It's the forge. Stop dodging it. That knot in your chest when you fail, the ache when you lose, the burn when you push past your limit. These aren't signals to retreat. They're invitations to grow. Studies show resilience isn't born in ease. It's hammered out in adversity. Look at the Stoics, or even modern outliers like David Goggins, who turned torment into fuel. You don't need their extremes, but you do need their mindset. Pain is your teacher, not your master. Lean into it and watch it transform you. Finally, redefine freedom. Comfort sold you a lie. Freedom isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of choice. Sartre's existential hammer hits here. You're condemned to be free, so act like it. Strip away the fluff. What do you want? Not what's easy. Chase it with everything you've got. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's truth. Maybe it's a life no one else understands. The point isn't the goal. It's the fight. Every step against the grain, every rejection of the soft path, builds a new you. You're not just breaking free. You're becoming. Feel that shift? The air's sharper now, the ground unsteady but alive beneath you. You're not the same person who started this journey. Comfort's grip is loosening, and in its place, something raw and powerful takes root. Nietzsche didn't promise ease. He promised strength, the kind that only comes from smashing the idols you've clung to. You're holding the hammer now. Swing it. The rebellion's yours. But it's not the end. There's one last truth waiting, one final revelation to burn away the haze. Can you hear it calling? Step forward, and let's uncover it together. You've broken the chains now. Felt the rush of rebellion surge through you. The air tastes different, sharper, charged with a current that hums in your bones. Comfort lies in ruins behind you. Its wreckage a testament to your will. Nietzsche's call wasn't just to destroy, it was to uncover, to strip away the lies, until you're left standing naked before the truth. And here it is, rising like a dawn you didn't expect. Life isn't about escaping the struggle. It's about becoming it. This isn't a platitude. It's a seismic shift, a revelation that rewrites everything you thought you knew. Let's step into it, feel its weight, and see what it demands of you. The ultimate truth. hits like a blade. You aren't here to be safe. You're not here to be happy, not in the shallow, sugary way the world sells it. You're here to burn, to wrestle, to rise through the ashes of what breaks you. Nietzsche saw this in his vision of the Übermensch, not a superhero, but a human who dares to create meaning from chaos. Comfort tricked you into believing meaning comes from ease, from full bellies and warm beds. But it doesn't. Meaning is forged in the crucible of tension, in the clash between what you are and what you could be. You've felt it all along. That restlessness wasn't a flaw. It was a signal. Stop running from it. It's your compass. Look back at the wreckage. Every time you chose the soft path, you didn't just lose time. You lost yourself. Jung's shadow whispered it. Nietzsche shouted it. Frankl lived it. The human soul thrives on the edge, not the center. Science echoes this. Your brain lights up in struggle, not stasis. Dopamine doesn't flood when you win. It surges when you strive. The paradox unravels. What you feared most, pain, uncertainty, the unknown, is what makes you whole. Comfort dulled that fire, but now it's blazing. You're not a victim of life's storms. You're the storm itself. Can you feel the shift? The power isn't in avoiding the abyss. It's in leaping into it. This truth redefines everything. Your past struggles, those nights of doubt, those failures you buried, weren't detours. They were the path. Schopenhauer was half right. Life is suffering. But it's not a curse. It's a gift. Without it, you'd never know your strength, never taste the raw edge of your own existence. Sartre's freedom takes on new weight. You're not just free to choose. You're free to suffer, to fail, to rise. And society? It's a mirage, a chorus of voices begging you to sit still. But you're not theirs anymore. You're yours. The ultimate truth isn't that comfort betrayed you. It's that you don't need it. You never did. Now picture this. A man stands alone on a mountain, wind tearing at his skin, the world sprawling vast and untamed below. He's not smiling, not triumphant in the cheap Hollywood sense. His eyes are sharp, his breath ragged, his hands scarred. He's fought for every inch of that height, not against enemies, but against himself. That's you if you dare. Nietzsche's call wasn't to a finish line. It was to this moment, this peak where you see clearly. Life is the fight. Not a fight to win, but a fight to become. Every bruise, every doubt, every step against the wind, it's all yours, and it's all alive. What does this mean for you now? It means the old rules don't apply. Stop measuring your days by how easy they feel. Measure them by how real they are. That knot in your gut when you face the hard choice, chase it. That tremble in your voice when you speak your truth, amplify it. The world will push back, the herd will sneer, but let them. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be you. Huxley's distracted masses, Sartre's aimless drifters, Nietzsche's last men. They're shadows now, fading in the light of this realization. You've stepped beyond them, so here you stand, at the edge of it all. The ultimate truth isn't a resting place. It's a beginning. A call to live with eyes wide open, heart unguarded, spirit untamed. Destroying comfort wasn't the end. It was the birth. You're not the person who started this journey. You're something more, something fiercer. The abyss doesn't scare you anymore. It beckons. And as the sun dips low, painting the horizon in blood and gold, you hear it one last time. Nietzsche's voice, your voice, the voice of the wild within. Go further. Strive harder. Become. What will you do with this fire? The choice is yours, and it always has been. Step forward now into the unknown and let the world tremble at your wake.